Hey there, everyone. Welcome to A Slice of Life with Kellie and Jon. And today we have a guest, Brianne Killeen, who is, Jon, you've known her mother and you've known her since she
Well,
was
I'm glad
born.
I'm going to bring up the past, but yes, I do. I'm very good friends with the family and all her brothers. But Brianne is just special, special in ways that I'm very proud of,
Oh,
and I'm sure that she'll pass that along. We can ask questions along the way, but for a young lady of 20 years old, she'll be 21 next month on Valentine's Day, as a matter of fact.
wow.
And she's just had an astounding career, but she'll tell
At
us
20.
why.
So we're already talking about her career. Yeah,
So
that's what excited me is what an inspiration you might be to younger people in what you're doing and how you've gotten there. So tell us a little bit about where you are right now. What's going on with you now?
Okay, so currently I actually just started my final semester at Montclair State University on Thursday. So we're wrapping up the semester, undergrad entirely. Currently, work-wise, I'm working with ABC7 New York, so WABC News. Over there, I am a digital intern as of right now, so I'm doing a lot of producing stuff with producers. And I have a little bit of flexibility to do some of the reporting and get some on-camera experience. So that's been super, super awesome. And that's been pretty much full-time in the city. And then on the weekends, I'm a photographer for a DJ company. So that's weekdays, weekends are booked. And then I do freelance. I do a remote content manager for a consulting company. So over there, I handle a lot of their blog posts, press releases with clients that they bring in. So it's super, super busy schedule, but I am graduating early. So it's super awesome. I'm graduating an entire year early. So
well,
Wow.
onto my MBA, which I actually just got my acceptance for that a couple days too for my MBA application. So that'll start in the fall.
what were you doing prior to ABC television? Because you were a journalist, a print journalist, or writing. I don't know if it's print anymore, if it's all on the internet or however but yeah, it seems like local newspapers are almost a thing of the past now. Even where you live, where New Jersey, the big paper was the Bergen Record, which is just the Record now. And I remember when it was 80 pages, on the weekends, and now you're lucky if you're 26 or 30 pages with that.
Yeah.
So what were you doing as far as out of high school? You wound up, if I remember correctly, getting into journalism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so I actually wasn't sure that I wanted to get into journalism. I had a set plan that I was going to go study business and I was going to go to Stevens Institute of Technology and I ended up getting in for business. And then I decided my senior year that I was going to kind of take a little leap in my path and go into journalism because I was always raised to be the type of person to help people in need and care about people and bring justice to certain issues or situations that are happening in the community. And I figured I have such a passion for writing and public speaking, so why not be able to kind of collide both of my worlds and make it into a career? So when I was a senior in high school, which was at Bergen County Technical High School, I had to apply to get into there. And it's kind of like a college preppy high school, which is why I'm graduating early. And they required that we had an internship our senior year. So my internship ended up being for the Meadowlands Chamber of Commerce. And so I interned there for about a year. And then I was super excited about it, loved the job. I was doing journalism stuff there. So I was working on their print and digital publications, getting stuff on their website, writing articles, interviewing people, everything that I loved. So I decided to see if they had a job opportunity for me when I graduated from high school. And they did, and it was super awesome. And I was there working for about 2 years officially. So 3 years entirely, I was over there. And then I got the opportunity at WABC and decided that was going to propel me in the direction to grow in my career. It was lovely there, and it was a great stepping stone, and everybody was super awesome. But instead of staying complacent, I kind of wanted to just see how far I can expand my horizons and where I could go with my passion.
At 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot at your age
Yeah.
already. And you're graduating. You'll graduate this year.
Yeah.
Go for your MBA. And then I mean, it's really hard to predict, and we want to be flexible and take advantage of opportunities that come our way. So there may be some surprises in your future that are bigger dreams than you ever even thought. But at this point in time, at the age of 20, what's your plan? What do you think?
So I actually think it's funny because I have not an exact plan that is going to happen because, like you said, things do happen in life, and you get some obstacles, you get things that maybe are going to push you in a different direction. That everything happens for a reason. But I have my 5 to 10 year plan of where I see my life going, and I feel like when this question is asked, especially in groups of people that are my age, everybody kind of just looks at each other and it's like, I don't know, but I do know what I want to do, and that is to be. I have 2 different options of where I want to go at the end of this internship. So I will know for sure by the time June rolls around. But one option is going to be I'll get an opportunity to do an on-air position as a reporter at a smaller market, which would probably be somewhere like News 12, or if I have to move a little bit farther, which we'll see when that time comes, what I'm going to end up doing, then I'll move somewhere else and take that opportunity and then jump back into the city and get an opportunity at somewhere bigger. Or I will stay with ABC and see if they have an opportunity that comes up for me to grow as a producer. And then growing through a producer, then I'd have so many more options, being that I'll have my MBA at that point. So then I can work my way up more on the corporate side. So we'll see. But early on in the career, it's definitely going to be interviewing and writing stories, whether it's on camera or off camera.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's good to have a plan and then be flexible.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I never had a plan. And luckily, everything, doors kept opening for me, and I was a hard worker too, but I just never had a plan. So I drifted from here to here to here and had a great, interesting life. But I feel like sometimes people that have a plan, things go, it goes easier because the next step. You're not letting other people make decisions for you or letting fate, decide your future. You're like, this is what I want. And it sounds like you've been like that. You've like, I know what I want. I'm going to do this and this and this, and I'm going to go there. And then also it's important to be flexible because then who knows what could come your way, something even better than you planned.
You're absolutely right. And I'll just throw this in. When I was a teenager, and I was in the music, or I wanted to be in the music business, so I was for a while, but my father kept saying, you should have something else to fall back on. And, of course, no, Dad, I'm going to be a rock star. And so that was it. Of course, I wound up in the corporate world later, and that was what I fell back on. But so he was right at that point. Now, also, when I also went to college, and I did go to Bergen Community there for a little bit too, the guidance counselor at that point, or whatever they might have called that person, said, you're going to have 3 resumes in your life over the course of your life. And that's actually true for me. It was the music business and then the corporate world, and then I eventually became a writer. Okay. But while I was in LA, after coming out of the corporate world, I went to a headhunter. And they told me, and especially now for your generation, Brianne, 5 times. And just yesterday, I was listening to something else on like an NPR type of show. And they said, this generation is going to change their careers or have 5 different resumes through the course of their lives. And so there you are. Flexibility is now, it's not an option. It's almost a requirement.
Well, because the world's changing so fast. And,
Absolutely.
your career that you're choosing going into journalism, how the media with the internet and everything, it's changing so fast. A couple years ago, I was managing a local newspaper and facing so many challenges, as we were talking about, as Jon was saying, how the newspapers keep getting thinner and thinner. And they're going digital. So there's more digital news. And then, of course, we've got all the challenges. There's news everywhere now.
Yeah.
So that, so that could change things. So, you always want to be prepared to make a pivot and go in a different direction.
Yeah.
I think.
And I feel like the industry of journalism, although the industry itself is changing, it's very hard to, I'm telling you that this is my plan and this is what I expect for my future. And I'm gonna work as hard as I can for it to get there. But going into like being a reporter or being a producer, it not only is the industry changing, but anything can change in going into the position. So for being a reporter, it's not a guarantee that you're going to go to a smaller market and you're guaranteed a position to come back and have a reporting job at ABC. So it's kind of like there's a lot of uncertainty down the road. So I'm kind of trying to focus on the foreseeable future and see where that's going to take me and push me a little bit and just network and meet people, because that's incredibly important, is just meet people and networking. Because
you're gonna have
and
so
not
many
only the
doors
journalism
opening
industry,
for
but-
you. You're delightful.
Yeah.
Seeing your resume, and I saw a bunch of clips of the interviews that you've done, and so you're gonna have so many doors open to you, which is a really good place to be, and it's a good lesson for young people to prepare and study as much as you can, get as much education as you can, and then go out there and take an internship.
Yeah.
Do part-time jobs and little gigs on the side and as many different things as you can. So you're experimenting to find what you do the best and what you're happiest at. And I would bet, to hear everything you do, I bet you're having a blast at all of it. Right?
Absolutely.
You're having fun? Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
I would bet.
For sure.
And
Yeah, that's awesome.
so of the people that you've interviewed, either this way or phone or face to face, who's been your most interesting, the one you found most interesting?
So that's a hard question. Because I love all of the interviews that I do for different reasons. I would say in terms of the ones that I've done on my own on my YouTube, my friend Marquise Hansford, he went to Montclair, so he's a Montclair State alumni as well, and he landed his dream job pretty much his senior year of college at NBC, MSNBC Morning Joe. So he's a Steadicam operator over there, and he is just so inspiring, and it's just refreshing, and it's like a breath of fresh air to talk to somebody who's maybe a little bit older than me, but so close in age, that has the same or similar kinds of dreams and aspirations and is going for them. Because there's a lot of people my age who, and it's not that they're doing anything the wrong way, it's that they're complacent and maybe they don't know how to find ways to grow. And that's also where those videos on my YouTube channel are advice for how to grow in the journalism industry and how to set your career forward and things of that sort. So I think Marquise Hansford was my favorite when it came down to my YouTube channel. But for ABC, my favorite story was there was a bookstore fire in Chinatown, and I did an interview with the owner, and that one was good, but I'm still following that story, so we'll see what happens. But my favorite was there was the flooding in Vermont that was ripping through homes and communities. So I interviewed a woman who works at a animal shelter in New Jersey, who drove all the way to Vermont to pick up the animals at the animal shelter, to bring them all the way back to New Jersey, to make more room for the animal shelters in Vermont, because the homes were getting destroyed over there and people needed to send their animals to animal shelters. So they were able to open up room for Vermont and bring the animals back here. And I don't know, I have to check, but I think most of them, if not all of them, have gotten adopted in New Jersey at this point. So it was super nice.
Yeah, I bet that would be interesting. Anything with animals, they've become such a big part of our culture now. So yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else you would like to share with us and our audience, especially younger people? So you said, a lot of people are just complacent. They're not, they don't know what
they want to do, but they don't actually put it into effect. They don't motivate. They're not motivated to get up and actually knock on those doors. And some people are afraid to knock on a door and get rejected. They don't know how to deal with the professional rejection, not realizing that, professional rejection is just part of the game. Rarely do you get accepted on the first 1, 2, or 3 tries. Sometimes it's 10 or 11 or 12. Okay.
Well, what I always say about rejection is it's not actually rejection of you. It's that you're not fitting that role.
See,
That, you wouldn't wear clothes that are too big or too little. And it's the same idea. If someone's passing you by, whether it's a relationship or a job, and I do life coaching, and I always tell people any time you're passed over, it's because it didn't fit. You would not be happy in a situation that does not fit. And so for younger people, putting yourself out there and trying everything, some things aren't going to fit. And they're doing you a favor by saying, nope, you don't fit what we're looking for. It's not that you're not good enough or there's something better for you. And I think that's important for you. I haven't found a way, but I would love to reach out to more young people to be able to inspire them and help them understand, like what you were just saying, Jon, that a rejection is part of life.
Yeah, when I speak at schools, usually high schools, creative writing classes, self-marketing, self-publishing. Usually when I get to the senior classes, I tell them, if you're not going to go to college and you are just going to graduate high school and go out and get a job, or even the kids in college, those first few interviews should never be for the job you really want. You should do 8 or 9 interviews for secondary jobs that you don't care about, just to rehearse the interview, because you're a novice and you're going to come across that way. By the 7th or 8th interview, you're already anticipating that question of where do you see yourself in 5 years, blah, 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 and all the normal questions. So by that time, you're comfortable with the questions.
Each interview is just a rehearsal. It's a practice.
Exactly.
Practicing.
Exactly what that is. And okay, so we're asking you to give kids advice, and here we are doing it. So now it's
and you know what? We would take advice from you too. When we were younger, we would be glad to have someone like you give us advice, right, Jon?
Yes, absolutely.
So what would you say to these young kids?
So I think something I would say is nobody's going to believe in you like you believe in yourself. So you really have to put your mind to something and really believe that you can do it. Fortunately for me, I grew up in a family that was very supportive. I went into high school thinking I was going to be the best hairdresser there could be. And then I decided I want to be the best businesswoman there is. And then I decided, you know what? No, I want to be the best journalist there is out there. And no matter what it was that I had, my family was always very, very supportive. Something I do want to say, because I feel like it's important to bring some vulnerability. I feel like we're living in a time where it's very hard to become vulnerable because people are scared of, putting their emotions out there and saying certain things. But I want to become vulnerable because it's okay to do that. I grew up with a single mom my entire life. So that's all I've known is just having me and my mom, and my 3 brothers were older. So they kind of were doing their own thing at that point. But she ended up having ovarian cancer when I was younger, which she got through that. And then she had liver cancer, and the hospitals in New Jersey didn't have the research or equipment to do the operation. And so then she needed to go to Columbia Presbyterian, got the operation done. The cancer came back. And at this point, nobody thought she was going to be able to make it through, but we believed and to each their own when it comes to what you believe in. But we had a strong faith that she was going to be okay. And she's still here. She's still pushing strong. So I feel like just having that figure so close to me of somebody that went through such traumatic experiences and whatever it was relationship wise or her health. And the fact that she still persevered and stayed persistent and ran her business and supported me and supported my brothers and whatever it was that they were doing. Everybody has some sort of trauma and everybody has some sort of story. And it's important to be able to use your story to make yourself a better person. Everybody goes through stuff, and you need to be able to use what you go through to be a better version of you for, tomorrow to come. And that's a big thing. I feel like too, is people go through things and then they have more of a negative light, or it makes them depressed. There's a big issue with depression and anxiety in this generation. But I feel like being able to bring that positive light onto negative things that happen and turning negative things into positive opportunities is super, super, super important. So like you were saying, even when it comes to rejection, using something that's has that negative connotation of rejection, being able to think positive, like Kelly, you were saying, well, I didn't make it because the world works in mysterious ways and this just wasn't meant for me and I'm going to go for something else. It's just that shift in mindset that I feel like, and I wish everybody had this kind of mindset, and it's not impossible to train yourself to have it. So that's also kind of where I try to, even with my friend groups and people at school, just try to instill that little bit of positivity, because a little bit of it can go a very long way. And then another piece of advice, not so abstract, is to just network, and tell everybody who you are, because you never know who you're going to meet and you don't know who they know. And it's not just the industry of journalism, it's across all industries. Everything is about who you know. It really, really is. An application can maybe get you in, an essay can maybe get you in. But if you know somebody that's working at a company that you want to work for and you reach out to them, even if it's something small on LinkedIn, hey, it's a pleasure to connect here. Can we talk further about this? The fact that people in wherever you want to go would hypothetically know you is already a foot in the door.
Mhm.
So, and then you just being great and being positive and bringing assets to the table is just icing on the cake.
Yep. Yeah. And it never hurts to ask. That's what I always thought, somebody will say, hey, do you think so-and-so would want to do blah, blah. And I'm like, it doesn't hurt to ask, just ask. Let's ask.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. I mean, and I think a lot of people would be flattered if you came to them and wanted some advice or had a question or, you wanted to befriend them.
I think something that my generation and grade kind of struggles with is that they don't want it to seem so much of like I don't want to reach out to them and just make it look like I'm asking a question, because I did take a career management class and a lot of kids raise that concern. Well, I don't want to reach out to this person that I haven't talked to in years and just ask a question and make it seem like, like, what do you have for me kind of situation. Mm-hmm. So it also comes down to being transactional. What can you do for somebody else when you're asking something of them? And what can you bring to the table for them that's going to benefit them? And it's a transactional kind of thing. You have to give and take. You can't just take. Yeah. So yeah, that's another important thing for me.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. There's got to be a balance. You have to have something to offer. But I just don't think it ever hurts to ask if it's someone you've never, ever talked to. They don't even know who you are, to give a call out of the blue to a big CEO of a company. It doesn't hurt to ask. All they can do is not take your call or throw your letter in the trash or whatever. Yeah. But if you don't give them the call, then you've just possibly missed an opportunity. So that's what
when it comes to cold calling and stuff too, and it's so funny because people are like, oh, I don't want to be annoying. And I'm like, you have to be annoying. Whatever it is. Because I was one of those
what I say? You're doing them a favor, because if you come to them, especially in a job interview, I've interviewed a gazillion people in my lifetime, and I've gone on interviews, and people, when I'm interviewing, I say, if I find the right person today and you're that person, you've done me a favor. Mm-hmm. You have helped me, because I don't like interviewing people for jobs. I don't like having to find the right person to fit the position. So always have that attitude. If you go prepared and you're believe that you're right for the job, maybe you're not, but maybe you're overqualified, but go in with the attitude, I'm here to make your day easier. Because I think a lot of people don't understand, the person interviewing doesn't really want to be doing this. It's work for them. It's a task. And so if you can, and as an actor, I was an actor for a long time too. And so every audition that I went on, I thought, if I'm the right person, this casting director I'm going to make their day. I usually wasn't the right person, because when you're auditioning as an actor, that's really where you learn a lot of rejection. But you always had that attitude that this could be the day, this could be the one, and I am going to make their day because they found the person that fits.
And just something I wanted to.
Sorry, when I was always going on interviews for whatever it might have been, I always saw myself as the product, and nobody knows the product better than me. So I would always, you have to sell the product. Yeah, and that's how I always saw whatever it was I did, in whatever job it was. I sold myself as the product that they needed to get the job done.
You're their solution. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of like you being their solution, having a niche and applying for a job that you feel like would be good for you is important, but it's also important to, and this is another piece of advice, it's also important to be very versatile in your craft and your skill set. You want to expand your skill set, especially us being entry level, and the job demand is it's hard to get a job at entry level, you know, especially your dream job, and get out of college and get your dream job. So you don't want to be a problem for them to take on. And this is a piece of advice that David Navarro gave me in one of my interviews. He's a anchor for ABC7. And he told me, he's like, you don't want to be a problem for the employer to take on. Yes, you do your job that they're asking of you, but what else can you do that's going to benefit them? And he even told me that there were certain problems that the organization had that they didn't even know they had. And when he mentioned it and was like, oh, well, what about this? There's no position for this, but I see that this is something that can be handled. They were able to create a whole new entire position for him to stay on board. Yep. And he was able to do certain things and bring diversity and inclusion in, because he was also of a Hispanic background. So it's going beyond what your tunnel vision is, and kind of seeing like, okay, well, I'm Hispanic, so I can bring diversity to the table. I know how to do this on my free time, so I can also help with this when it comes to projects. So yeah, coming in at entry level, just make sure your skill set is as wide as it can be.
Well, I think for younger people, so even though they're feeling intimidated because they're not as experienced, they have a positive to bring to the table, because you see things, you know, the world's changing so fast, and with technology and everything, the younger generation sees things that the older generation doesn't. As you, like you just said, you can look around and go, hey, this is what we should be doing. This is what would make us better. This is what the younger people are looking for. You're the future. I mean, you guys are going to create this world, the world that you want to live in. And we're going to have to all step back and let you do it. And welcome.
Yeah. And that's actually a story that I did when I was working at the chamber for our print and digital publication. It was like baby boomers versus millennials and Gen Z, because there's a big stigma around the topic, and young people are intimidated in the workplace, and maybe they say that older people don't want to change in the workplace, but both generations have so much to bring to the table, where instead of having that sort of intimidation, why not take it as a learning experience to see like, okay, I can learn something from them and show them that they can also learn something from me. And that's super, super important. And I know a lot of my friends too, going into their offices when they're working with older people, they get nervous and they don't want to talk about certain things, or, you know, bring light to certain issues in the workplace or whatever. And I feel like it's super important, because although they have a different perspective on things and we have a different perspective on things, they're both so valuable. So why not just create a whole new breakthrough and be able to learn from each other?
Yeah, I think that goes across every generation.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether it's male, female, a different nationality, we all can learn from each other, because nobody knows everything. So there's always something to learn. And that's a really good attitude to have throughout all of your life. Always be learning. And that staves off Alzheimer's and those dementia diseases that, you know, your brain just dies if you don't keep using it, if you don't keep learning.
Well, my executive producer, so he's my boss, that's who I report to. He did my interview when I was getting the internship, and he had asked me, he's like, so after the interview's over, so do you have any questions for me? And I was like, So I asked him what is a piece of advice that he would give to his younger self. And he had told me, and it resonated. As soon as he said it, I was just like, okay, this is a piece of advice I'm going to hold on to forever. That looking back at his younger self, he would tell that person, you don't know everything. And although we think we know everything about whatever career we're going into, and okay, yeah, I'm about to be straight out of college, I don't know everything. There's so much to learn, and you really never stop learning, no matter how old you are and how far in your career you are. And like you guys said, the world is ever changing. There's constantly something happening. There's new technology coming out. There's the COVID pandemic, things that are out of our control that we can't predict. So there's just always going to be an opportunity to learn. So if you're hungry to learn and you're eager to find out new things and be able to problem solve and critical think, that's super, super important.
Yeah. I think staying curious about life. Yeah. And I think it's a richer life. I think it's not just for career, but it enriches your life. And like I said, I can imagine you're probably having just the greatest time. And some people go, oh, she's doing all that work, because they hear work. You hear, oh my gosh, I get to do this. This is fun. And this is fun. And I want to do this. I want to do that. Yeah, I think if more people understood it's experiences of life. That's that's what makes your life richer, is having more
Yeah.
experiences.
I did something earlier that really, again, hit with me. When I was 17, 18, 19, we were a rebellious generation, and we thought we knew everything. We really thought we knew everything. Over time, I came to learn that we didn't even know the questions yet. We thought we knew the answers to everything. We didn't even know the question.
They say you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brianne, I think your words are fantastic, not just for people of your generation, but for a few after you too.
Yeah.
For you, I should say.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
And you are such a delight. I am so glad to meet you. I was excited. I told Jon when he told me about you, that I was excited to meet you because it brings back memories of being young again and having your whole future in front of you. That's a really great place to be. And it sounds like you are making the best of it. You're not letting life pass you by, which so many people do. I always say you can either be a spectator or a player in the game. And spectators sit in the stands and watch everyone play, or they watch TV and they live their life through television shows. Mm-hmm. Whereas, the players are out there doing it. So you're a player.
Yeah. And just another takeaway, because you were talking about experiences make your life richer. And that goes for all experiences. Just one more time, because I really want that to resonate, is it's the good experiences, the bad experiences, the indifferent ones. Every single experience that you encounter, you're encountering for a reason, and you wouldn't be you without them. So make sure that you're taking everything the way it comes, because there's no other, there's not another John D'Amore out there. There's not another Kelly Nicholson out there. There's not another me out here. So you really have to live your life to its fullest potential and just be authentically you.
Yeah. For such a young person, that is really deep advice to be giving. So yeah. Thank you so much, Bri. Thanks for joining us. And please, I know Jon will be in touch, but I want to hear what you're doing. And hopefully we'll have you back with some more exciting things, because you're only 20 and you've already done all this stuff. We're already interviewing someone who's only 20. So we look forward to hearing from you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, guys.
Everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bri.
Bye-bye.
Bye.